For the past couple of weeks, I have had the pleasure to play a retro-inspired JRPG, and that game is 8-Bit Adventures 2. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about all of my thoughts and opinions on the matter. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got you covered with timestamps down below, so if there's a certain section you would like to skip to, feel free to do so. All I ask is you to support the channel, hit that like button, and if you want to stick around for some more RPG content, then you're in the right place, hit that subscribe button. So let's dive straight into 8-Bit Adventures 2. Now I think it's important to note that I was provided a code for review, but that does not influence any of the opinions you are going to be hearing in today's video. They are my opinions and my opinions alone. So you're probably thinking, Jen, 8-Bit Adventures 2? Where's the first one? Have you played the first one? The answer to that question is no. And I guess the answer to the next question you're probably going to ask, do I need to play the first one? That's also a no. This is a self-contained title, so you can dive straight in without any prior knowledge of the first game. Moving on, I want to hit it strong with the story of 8-Bit Adventures 2 because I was pleasantly surprised. I think when you go into these kind of old looking inspired RPGs, you think the stories are going to be very basic, very A to B, much akin to like classic Dragon Quest and classic Final Fantasy. But no. 8-Bit Adventure 2 has a pretty solid story, and I like where it is going. Allow me to read the briefer synopsis to give you a feel of what to expect from this story. When a mistreated child with impossible powers threatens to reshape the world, a hero's disappearance kicks off a grand adventure and a battle for survival. That's all I need to say, but I was pleasantly surprised when I started off the game as what you'd consider the main hero of the game, just to see that that guy disappears and you get to play as someone that's in the background, that's watching this going on, that inspires to be a hero, to go on an adventure, and you get to live the adventure through his eyes, meet back up with that warrior and a plethora of characters along the way. And there are so many characters with so many personalities, and they all have a stake in this game. I like how character driven some of the scenes is and the way that it interweaves with the story. It doesn't feel like it's filler. You're not going into the main quest and thinking, oh my god, I'm wasting my time doing all of this stuff before I get to the next story beat. It weaves it in so well, and you meet, again, so many characters along the way, including a very Chrono-inspired robot called Robot, but I renamed him Robo because you're going to call a robot in a JRPG Robo, right? So I went with Robo, but there's so many other characters that bring something to the story of 8-Bit Adventures 2. Not only that, as you go through the story, you will see little nods and Easter eggs to other games as well. There was a nice little scene that I really like seeing after playing Chrono Trigger for the first time last year, and that's like a little court scene. You have to answer some questions and you have to prove your innocence. I like the little nods to all of the things that 8-Bit Adventures is inspired by. So that's enough with the story and the characters. I would love to go into so much more detail, but I really truly think it's something you need to experience for yourselves. So let's talk about the gameplay of 8-Bit Adventures 2. And I'm starting off with my favorite, exploration, and with this being a very 8-bit inspired RPG, we have a world map to traverse. At first, I was thinking, where are the battles? Because early on in the game, there are no battles. Enemies do appear on the field screens, but they didn't appear on the world map at first. And I was like, oh, I can't go out and grind. As the story progressed, the world unlocked a little bit more, and there were enemies roaming on the field. You can choose when to battle them, you can respawn them, and everything else in between. And just traversing a new world map is always good. We have vehicles, we've got airships, we've got snowcrafts, we've got ships, and it is just a pleasure. There's chests hidden on the world map as well, and yeah, it was just a pleasure to explore. Now with a world map, you've got to have numerous towns to visit, various locations to visit, and how did 8-Bit Adventures 2 deliver? They delivered quite well. We have a vast majority of locales to explore, all with its own little theme. There's other worlds we get to traverse as well throughout our adventures. One thing that I really like that make these towns feel alive, and it's always the little things that matter. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about here. I would talk to an NPC in a village, and they would talk about maybe their wife or something that they're trying to find, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I hope you find your wife one day. Maybe we'll meet again, maybe we'll not. Most RPGs, it will just be that one NPC and that's it. You don't hear anything from it. But then a couple of towns later, I meet the wife, and the wife mentions about the husband. And I'm thinking, okay, all right, we've got a bit of lore there. And then I go through the other towns and they are together now. And they're so glad they got back together. And it's just the small things like that have the NPCs interact with one another and the world that's going off around them that really add to the world building. And it's something I really appreciate in this game. To cap off the exploration for me, we've got to talk about the dungeons. There's so many dungeons we go across. We've got the typical ones like an ice dungeon, a volcano, a tech dungeon, even a musically inspired dungeon, which I really liked. And it's a good note to go off with the puzzles. There are many puzzles involved in these dungeons just to make it a little bit more challenging. So you're not just going from A to B. There was one, like I said, music inspired, where you had to look at the notes that are inscribed in the wall and do a few little mechanics to match that to get to the next location. I really like that dungeon. There's also another dungeon where you had to traverse through the darkness, and if you got into an enemy encounter, if you ran into an enemy in the darkness, it would be very hard to hit. But there was a mechanic that if you could lure the monster towards you, towards a little bit of a light in this dungeon, then that you would see the monster, you go into battle, and you have no problem hitting it. Just the small things really added up in this game, and I really enjoyed the exploration of 8-Bit Adventures 2. Before I move on to combat, I want to talk about save points. Now, this game allows you to save anywhere. You go into the menu, save, done, dusted. But as you're going through certain locations, and usually before a boss fight, there's a save point. And I was thinking, why on earth is there a save point here? But these save points are very unique and quite entertaining. I really liked what they did with the save points here. They are there as a good reminder that you probably should save. But then there's some other options that it offers as well. You can get it to respawn the enemies in a dungeon. So if you want to do a little bit more extra grinding, you can do that. Also, there are boss tips. It lets you know, okay, this boss is weak against fire, so make sure you've got your best of fire abilities at your disposal. And also, hey, this dungeon, there's some ice armor that's going to protect you against their ice attacks. If you haven't got it, go back and find it. Really liked it because it made me question like, oh, did I explore this dungeon to its full potential? Am I ready for this boss? And I think it's a really nice touch, a very nice quality of life when it comes to just exploring in general. Okay, combat. I really like combat. It's very heavily inspired Final Fantasy X, the way that turn-based system works. So for example, you have all the turn list displayed at the side of the screen. If you paralyze an enemy, or if you slow an enemy down, or if you haste yourselves, it changes it. And it also gives you the opportunity, what I like about this and Final Fantasy X, is you plan your attacks. Okay, I've got a turn coming up. What am I going to do? How am I going to tackle this? Is this going to be the turn where I need to cure everybody? It's really nice to have that layer of combat in a turn-based system, and it really works here in 8-Bit Adventures 2. Not only that, it does not end there with the Final Fantasy X inspired battle system. You can switch your allies in and out free of will. So if you think, oh my god, I'm going against a boss here, but I've not got the right party members, I could really do with a powerful sword attack here, you can switch in the ally that you have with that attack, use it, and then when the next turn comes around and you want to call them away, you can do it. So the fact that we have a plethora of characters to play with that we can swap in and out, that means each character brings something different to the table. That is right, each character has kind of a class attached to it. They have their own unique abilities, and there is one character, I've mentioned it before, the robot, that is very unique in battle. It doesn't use any MP or AP or anything like that. It is all based on what you equip it. So what I've gone for is a flamethrower attack, I've got a heal all attack, and then I've got a revive attack as well. So my robot is playing the role as a healer, essentially, for me. We also have Omega attacks. Think of these as limit breaks. So when you fill the bar up, this applies to all of your characters. So when that bar is full, you select which character gets the attack, and all of these attacks can range from something that can do a certain amount of damage or break down defense of enemies to essentially buffing your party as well. So it's just, again, adds another layer of strategy in this such simple but complex battle system. A nice little touch that I also like when it comes to this battle system is if you defend, you heal a bit of health. It can really help you out. It could really turn the tide of battle as well. It's something to definitely look out for when you're doing battles. There's also another quality of life in the battle system that I really like. I am one of these people that like stealing rare items. I've played through Final Fantasy IX and I've gone through the hellacious time of just stealing a flute. If you know, you know. But what 8-Bit Adventures 2 does is an enemy will have an icon next to its name when you're targeting it. that if it has something rare to steal. So no longer do you go into battles blind thinking, is it enemy carrying something rare? Is this enemy carrying something rare? No, 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 no. It's all laid out before you, and you just need to have the luck that you need to make sure that you get that item. It's not going to be steal one time or steal two times. Sometimes you might get lucky and get a first go, but knowing the enemies that will have items that you want is really, really nice. And I think I'm going to cap off talking about the combat here by talking about the boss encounters. Now, I was expecting just to have normal boss encounters, just to kind of go all out, use a little bit of strategy here and there. But no, I was very wrong. There's some unique boss fights here that have some nice mechanics to really get you thinking and using all the systems that you have in place to your disposal and use it to the best of your ability. And without spoiling anything, some of these encounters can be quite tough, but if you've got the right strategy and you bide your time, talk to that save point. It gives you tips, all right? You'll be going in fine with these boss battles. So, we've got exploration out the way, we've got combat out the way. Is there anything else to talk about when it comes to 8-Bit Adventures 2? Yes, there is. There is a system that you unlock a little bit later as you play through the game called the Augment System, and I think this is very akin to like a materia system almost. So you will find abilities in chests along the way, and as you level up your characters, you unlock more slots to equip these abilities, and these abilities can range from having a chance of doing poison while you attack, increasing your defense, increasing your MP, increasing your HP, making the potency of items that little bit stronger. There's a plethora of options out there. It's highly customizable, and when you talk to that save point with a boss coming up, you can have a look at what augments you've got and what can use. Sometimes it will suggest saying, hey, there's this augment in this dungeon, go grab it. You'll find it very useful here, and it's just really nice to have. Add another layer to statistics and just battle in general. Now, I think that's about everything, but I do want to touch on the music. With it being an 8-bit adventure, you can expect an 8-bit soundtrack, and I was thinking, am I going to get sick of bleeps and blops as I'm traversing through this game and experiencing this story? And the answer is no, not really. I actually enjoyed the soundtrack. I would love to hear orchestral versions of some of these songs because there's some bangers in there, and I highly suggest that you just listen and enjoy the soundtrack as you play through the game. And with that, I think that finishes off our journey talking about 8-Bit Adventures 2. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game. It has been a grand adventure. I've not quite hit the end. I do intend to get into the end, and then I'm also intending to get the platinum trophy, because you know what I'm like. I want to get everything I can when it comes to playing some of these RPGs on the PlayStation, but I highly recommend this game if you need to scratch that retro JRPG itch. So let me know if you have played 8-Bit Adventures 2, because it is available out on PC, and then it's going to be available on all consoles as well for you to enjoy. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.